So you want to purchase or start a bank? I'm going to show you the criteria and the questions you must be asking yourself so that you can either purchase a bank or start a bank in the right region that's best for you and your case study. My name is Taimour Zaman. You've got to watch this video. I'm Taimour Zaman from LionCredit.ai. My organization is truly a world-class leader in 3 categories: providing project financing around the world through a program called Rent a Rich Uncle program, and or providing non-recourse loans. The second area is that we issue or help issue and monetize banking instruments, standby letters of credit, document letters of credit, and so on. And third area is we help high net worth individuals and or their corporations participate in an area called private placement programs. In this video, I'm going to share what are the best ways or strategies, questions you should be asking when you want to start a bank or to purchase a bank. I'm going to show you behind the scenes on how we've done it. You're going to love this video. Now, before I proceed, I do want to ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way, as we publish case studies, how-tos, customer walkthroughs, and so on, you'll get access to them right away. So, it's really important to rethink about the benefits of you purchasing a bank or starting a bank. There are lots of advantages to it. I'm going to start with just a simple example. Imagine you are self-employed or you even work for some corporation and you made $100,000. What most people do is they take $100,000, put it in a savings account or checking account. You now have to pay tax on it, which is whatever that rate is. Then you're using that $100,000 for your daily living expenses, for your lifestyle, to put bread on the table for your family, to buy things you care about. However, there's a smarter way to think about this. If I earn $100,000, another way I could think about it is, can I own a bank or purchase a bank in a region that's best fit for me? So let's say I pick Cayman Islands as an example. I'm using Cayman Islands as an analogy. Cayman Islands is not the right strategy or not the right geography for everybody on the planet. But I'm just using Cayman Islands as an example only. So if John Smith earns $100,000, John Smith deposits $100,000 in his bank account, pays some tax on it, and then uses the remaining amount to pay for his lifestyle expenses. But let's say Taimour Zaman, for instance, makes $100,000. I take that $100,000, I deposit in the Central Bank of Cayman Islands because I own a bank, own shares of a Schedule B bank in Cayman Islands. Well, that bank that I own or co-own will have a credit facility of 10 times multiples. So now that bank will be able to give me a loan for 10 times multiples, which means now I can borrow $1 million. 10 times $100,000 becomes $1 million. So that's money I can owe. With no knowledge, with no investment, well, I don't say no investment knowledge, but with minimum investment knowledge, the person that has a very minimum investment knowledge can now take $1 million. They can invest it in sure things that they can see and feel like real estate in their local area. And let's say the real estate does 10% a year as an example. So now $1 million loan, you can go and buy a bunch of real estate that does 10% a year, and you now make $100,000 every year without even working for it. This is on minimum investment knowledge. You then take every 2 years, 4 years, the properties you bought goes up in value. So you take the equity out, and you rinse and repeat, and then you take the $50,000 out, you put it back in the Cayman Island bank. Next 2 years it goes up by another $50,000. You take the thing out, you put it back in the Cayman Island bank, and now it's $500,000. You just buy income producing real estate in your geography, wherever on the planet you live in, and that's investment knowledge 101. If you're at investment knowledge 2.0, you will say, okay, I got a credit facility in Cayman Islands Bank for $1 million. can now put it in another bank, like a Switzerland bank, where LIBOR rates today are at negative territory, and the Swiss bank will do a multiplication of not 10, but multiplications of 4. So 1 million now turns into $4 million. Now with that $4 million, I can do back into a real estate example, go and buy $4 million of real estate. So now imagine John Smith, who never did this. He works very hard to make $100,000, deposits $100,000, and then uses $100,000 for their life expenses. Taimour Zaman works very hard for that $100,000, but I don't deploy the common everyday strategy that John Smith does. I actually go to put it in a Cayman Islands central bank because I own shares or control shares or started a bank in Cayman Islands. And then I can now take that $100,000 and turn it into $1 million. If I do the Swiss one, now it turns into $4 million. So $100,000 turns into $4 million, and that's investment knowledge 2.0. Investment knowledge 3.0. This is the part that's really interesting. You can do the Cayman Island bank, put $100,000, get $1 million, 10 times multiples. Put in a Swiss bank, get a line of credit for $4 million. But then you put that $4 million in a trusted private placement program, and that pays you a lot of money, like a lot of money. And now all of a sudden, I have the same job as John Smith does, but the strategy I have to deploy my capital is significantly different. Now watch my lifestyle. Watch the quality of food my wife and my children get to eat compared to John Smith. Look at the opportunities that my kids get to have. My grandchildren, well, I don't have grandchildren, but like, if I have grandchildren or great-grandchildren, like my entire life has changed. Not because I have a different job than John Smith does. Not because I have 3 eyes or 10 eyes and John Smith has 2. I actually have 2 eyes just like John Smith. I have 1 nose just like John Smith. But how I'm deploying my capital, and most importantly, how I'm thinking about it, is significantly different. And that's why I highly encourage high net worth individual people, or people that aspire to be high net worth individuals, to make a commitment, not to work with me, but to start a bank or to look at acquiring a bank. Like, it's really, really important to do that. Anyways, I'm going to show you in this video the criteria we've gone through. Then I'm going to show you a real behind the scene example walkthrough of myself and my team of actually going to buy a bank. You're going to see talent, skill set that I bring to the table that, if you're a billionaire, you could probably hire a very good CEO. You could hire some very senior executive level talent. But the skill set of people I bring to the table are just people you cannot buy with money. Like, just can't buy them with money. And I'm going to show you behind the scenes of how we do it, who we brought to the table, so you can see the criteria I'm showing you from you. I didn't Google the criteria. It actually comes from real life experience. And so you should I invite you to take a pen and paper and write down a lot of these notes, because these lessons can be instrumental to you and your future. So question number 1 you want to ask yourself is, what's the IMF rating of the area that you want to, the country where you want to either buy a bank or start a bank with? IMF is a private institution. It's based in Washington, D.C. I don't want to talk too much about IMF, but I just want to let you know they have a rating. And so the rating is really important because they have all the experts, economic experts, and so on, to look at various aspects of the economy, and the IMF rating of that country that you want to start a bank in or buy a bank in is important. The next question you want to ask yourself is, what's your end game? What's your exit strategy? A lot of people that start a bank or buy a bank are family offices. It makes a lot of sense. But if you're a high net worth individual, especially if you're somebody from my customer list who've successfully completed a private placement trade program, starting a bank is something I highly encourage you to consider. Like, really, if you own a bank that has deposits going in and you add a private placement platform at the tail end of it, the possibilities are really, really, really endless. But before you start that journey, you need to know what's your exit strategy. Is this an asset that you want to buy and hold forever? Is this an asset you want to buy and then sell? What's your exit plan? And that's important. The next question you want to ask yourself is there any consolidations going on in the banking area in that region that you want to buy or start a bank with? In the United States, as an example, there's a lot of banks that have given out a lot of loans. They've been bad loans. Now they're not cash flow positive, and so there's opportunity to do consolidations. In the Caribbean region, a lot of banks, after 2007, 2008 housing crash in North America, although North America regained, or their economic activities picked up, a lot of Caribbean regions did not. And so you want to be able to really think about, are there consolidations going on in that area? And I'm not saying for this to be your decision factor, but it'll be one of the answers you get for yourself, will help you make a decision, and this should be one of the questions you should be asking. Another one is, what's the GDP of the country? If the GDP is growing, that means there's a lot of need for borrowing. There's a need for lending. If the GDP is declining, it probably means a lot of the clients your bank has, or even this area you want to start banking in, there's decline in, or there's an increase in defaults, and that would make be a data point for you to make a decision on. Another one is regulators. How easy it is how easy are the regulations, how relaxed is it, how tough the regulation is. I can tell you from experience, the tougher the regulators are in the area you want to start a bank with, or you want to buy a bank in, the higher the credit rating of your institution is, the credit facility. So imagine I have a twin brother, and my twin brother opens up a bank or buys a bank in a village in Kenya, as an example. Relatively speaking to me, starting a bank in Canada, you can't start a Schedule A bank in Canada, but I just want to give that as an example only. There's a lot of regulations for Canadian banks as a comparison. So which one of our banks, my brother, if I had a twin brother starting a bank in Kenya, would have a lot more easier time because he doesn't have regulators. If there's any regulators in the continent of Africa, they're probably a lot relaxed compared to me having a bank in Canada. So my life is a lot more difficult to run compared to him, but the credit facilities I can get, the credit rating of my bank is significantly more. Sovereign risk. What's the credit of, if you want to buy a bond of that country or bond of that government, you want to think about the rating of that bond, and that should be part of your decision making. How deep do you need to get in bed with the local government? In some cases on the planet, having a deep relationship with the local government might be to your advantage. Antigua would be one region where we've looked at buying banks in Antigua, and having a relationship with local government is important in that scenario. But in Switzerland, I don't need to be in the bed with local government. In fact, it's better for me and better for the government for us not to be in bed with each other. So that's another question you want to think through for you to make a decision. What is the country and financial institutions' risks that you're inheriting? This is a very bad analogy, but it's one analogy that makes sense. Let's say I want to marry a spouse, and she has a brother-in-law, or I have a brother-in-law that's difficult to live with, as an example, or somebody within the family who I don't like. Once I marry that spouse, I'm inheriting, whether I like it or not, that whole family. And so the same thing applies to either starting a bank or buying a bank in a specific country. Whether you like it or not, you could be a Tier A bank, you could have a Tier A management team. You are inheriting the credit risk and the brand reputation risk of the country and the banking system in that geography, whether you like it or not, and that should be something for you to think about. What's the currency risk? Every time the currency goes up and down, it impacts your paycheck, impacts your profitability, it impacts bonuses of executives, and that's something for you to look at for sure. What's the default rate of the borrowers? Or, is it a high default rate? Is it a low default rate? Is default rates going down? Is default rates going up? That's important for a bank. Now, if you're doing a Schedule 2B bank, you don't have depositors necessarily, but regardless of that, that's something for you to look at for sure. And then the next one, this is really important, is the insurance on the deposits. But FDIC insured banks, FDIC, to change laws around FDIC insured banks, that's the Senate, U.S. Senate. The U.S. Senate's not going to touch something so big. At least I don't think so. Or is the Lloyd's of London insured bank? When you have these types of insurances around deposits, it makes people feel safe to deposit money in your bank, which is what you need. But even if you want to give loans out, if you want to get credit rating, having these types of insurances on your bank is really important. So if I presented a bank in the Caribbean region where it had no FDIC insured banks as an example, and then you may not want to go into the U.S. banks for whatever reason that I cannot think about, well, would you then consider going to Puerto Rico? Because Puerto Rico is still considered part of the United States, right? And then you could look for something called FDIC insured banks. Maybe they don't have any anymore. I don't know. But there are ways to think about which geographies to start a bank with or buy a bank with, depending on your outcome. And it's important to see if you can have some kind of insurance for your depositors. The final question that I believe you must ask yourself is, does the bank have any SWIFT capabilities? SWIFT capabilities is like buying a car. You want to make sure the car has 4 wheels. If it doesn't have 4 wheels, like, I don't know what to do with the car. And the same thing applies to a bank with SWIFT capabilities. If you have SWIFT capabilities, you can do, I don't want to say you can create profit in your bank. That's not the right way of saying it. But SWIFT capabilities in a bank will allow you to make a lot of money. If you don't have a bank, or if you're buying a bank that doesn't have SWIFT capabilities, or if you're starting a bank that doesn't have SWIFT capabilities, you want to look for what does it take for you to partner with a bank to get a corresponding bank that has these SWIFT capabilities, because that's super important to you. I hope you found this information helpful. In a minute, I'm going to show you behind the scene video of us. I'm demonstrating behind the scenes of who my team is into acquiring a real bank for ourselves. And if you have any questions, please feel free to go to our website, credit.ai, and book a coaching consulting call with me, and I'm happy to sit down and answer any of your questions. Please look forward to this video I'm going to share with you, and after that I'm going to answer some of your frequently asked questions. Thank you very much. First, I just want to say welcome. Thank you everybody for being here today. I know you could be a million other places doing a million other things, but I just want to say thank you for being on this call on my invitation. I'm pretty confident everybody knows me here, so I'm not going to introduce myself. The intention of this call, Tim, is for me to demonstrate who my core teams are, who my family is. Like, if we were going to co-own a bank together, what would line of credit team look like? What do we bring to the table? That's very, very uncommon. Most people use the term, well, if you give me the money, I'll just hire the advice, or I'll hire the management team. And you're going to meet people on this call that are not available for hire because of who they are from a family perspective or skill perspective like that. So my intention for this call is to create a partnership. That's a lifetime partnership for you to know who you're getting in bed with, for lack of a better word. And to really, you're going to see skill sets, Tim, that, for lack of a better word, I don't want to put words in your attorney's mouth. He would be like, wow, I didn't even know this existed, or I didn't know this could be done like that. So the outcome of this call is for everybody to get to know each other a little bit better, to understand their skill sets. You will see things that is very uncommon. And if I was going to hire a CEO of a bank, he wouldn't be able to come with people like Rothschild Stephen as an example. Like the things that I'm just using Rothschild Stephen as an example, but everybody in this team is the same thing. Like the things that Rothschild Stephen can do, because of who he is I couldn't get on a CEO of a bank if I went and paid $5 million as an example. So with that, I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to get everybody to just do a 2-minute introduction on who they are, what do they bring into the table, what their vision is like that, and then I'm going to stop the recording, and then we can have an open dialogue for the team to get to know you a little bit better, as well as what the banking opportunity and so on is, if that's okay. So Rothschild Stephen, I'm going to call the names on who needs to go up 2 minutes, and I'm going to have a timer on. So everybody's really on the
got a timer.
I'm going to put a timer on.
Okay, so Rothschild, Steven, you're up. Go.
And my time starts now.
Yeah.
Hi, Tim. Nice to meet you. My name is not Rothschild Stephen. My name is Stephen de Koningswater, but my grandmother was a Rothschild. So I come from that family. What am I doing here? Well, difficult story. I have had from birth zero interest in the financial industry. I started life as an artist, ended up building a natural health business, which is quite successful. And I really was never, my family was half artists and half bankers, and I had no interest in the financial side until my business started to grow, and I wanted to fund its growth without debt. Then I thought, you know what, it's time to find out what my aunts, uncles, and cousins are up to on the other side of the family. And yeah, I spent the last 10 years researching, learning, and working with financial instruments, with bonds, with private placements. And here I am today. So, you know, what are my special abilities? Well, nothing really. I mean, I'm just well connected, and I guess sometimes that's worth more than yeah, a lot. I do have certain abilities. I can get things done. My interest in what I will bring to this project, what I'm really interested in, is private placement and the opportunity that having a bank. Um, yeah, well, this is an opportunity for me to be able to work to help companies such as mine, which are successful but need that extra help to grow, to get to the next level. That's what really interests me with regards to the financial sector, and I'm uniquely able to do that because of my background. There you go. There's my 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Minaz, you are to my right, so I'm going to get you to introduce yourself. Then I'm going to go to Jeff Robinson, JR. Sorry, Minaz. Then I'm going to go to Kevin from FBI, Jeff Robinson, JR, Anthony, Ronak.
I guess my time starts. So my name is Binas Rangi. Actually, I'm just living north of Toronto in Newmarket. I've been a technologist all my life. So ever since I left university, I've been working in tech, mostly around insurance companies, banks, startups, and startups are fintech and healthcare. So all these 30 years has been in those disciplines. So I'll talk about banking. What have I done? We were one of the first guys to build the first bank, internet bank in Canada. So ING Direct, which most of you know, was one of the banks that I worked on when I was a junior architect. We built 12 of those around the world. And the one that was sold to Scotiabank, I think, was for about $3.2 billion. So we built 12 of those. We made a lot of money for ING. The other thing I did was I worked with ING Global, where we merged two big banks in Holland, the ING Red Bank and ING Blue Bank, the Post Bank. It was about a $300 million project, which took about 4 years of my life. I was the chief architect there. Then got promoted there to be in charge of 76 countries. Every project over $10 million had to have my approval in technology. So contracts, imagine a contract with IBM or Microsoft or Cisco, over $10 million, I had to vet it and make sure that ING was spending the money in the right place. Then I worked for TD Bank. We bought MBNA, the credit card company, merged that, merged two banks, Bank North and Commerce Bank. We rolled out something like 1,500 branches over a weekend.
10 more seconds.
Okay. At TD Bank, we also built a whole digital strategy, which started with the customer journey for mobile and the web. So anything in technology around core banking, credit cards, wealth management, insurance, done it all.
Tim, I'm just going to say this. My friend Minaz, who I've known for years, was a CIO at TD Bank. After that, he became CIO, CTO of a blockchain company that was a startup and built it to be multi-million dollars. I want to let you know, Minaz, and I do have a commercial relationship. He's a trusted resource for me, and he's helping me build something around character checking and law enforcement, and I'll skip that conversation, but he's one of the most senior technology banking executives, top 20 banks in the world kind of thing. And he's a guy who you can trust, but he's a technology guy. Today, financial services are a tech company. However you want to think about them, Schedule A, Schedule B banks like that. And that's what Minaz brings to the table. You put that guy with a Rothschild Steven, it's just like pretty, like you're going to see the team. This is not a team where $50 million wouldn't buy you this team like that. FBI, Kevin, do you want to start who you are? And Kevin, do you want to put your camera on if that's even possible?
There we go. See if that works. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so Tim, good to meet you. Let me give you a little bit of my background. My name's Kevin Danford. I was in the FBI for years. Before that, though, I was an expert in the mortgage industry. Did everything from originating to underwriting to auditing, all sorts of stuff, and got to know that industry inside and out. And then I joined the FBI and did some serious white-collar work out on the West Coast in LA for years until counterterrorism kicked up with ISIS. I switched over to the Joint Terrorism Task Force and then up into headquarters where I oversaw all the counterterrorism investigations in the Southeast US for a while. And then ended my career up in the inspection division with the FBI, doing all kinds of fun inspections, making sure our field offices were working properly, working at their best. Since retired, my main focus, my main skill set, really, the reason Taimour even talks to me is my risk and compliance and global due diligence. Imagine the best private investigative services you could get for overseas international transactions, and that's what I provide, to make sure nobody missteps or takes on a deal that's got some fraud or some bad actors involved in it. So my job is to make sure that the money that is put into play is put into play safely and securely, and that we don't end up having to go to the bank or go to the insurance company to try to recover losses.
So Tim, in my line of work, we are moving billions of dollars. A lot of our clients are billionaires or millionaires, banks and that. And Kevin, and we also work with a former deputy director of the CIA. So we have a lot of law enforcement people we work with, and their job is to look at our operations, our banks, high net worth individuals. And Kevin here vets very, very, very sophisticated con artists. I mean, the $1 million files that we find here are from, and Kevin's job is to find what we refer to as the Nigerian prince. Every time we get a project, who's the Nigerian prince? Kevin's role is to look into Pakistan, this place, that place. Like, he does a fantastic job, and he saved my clients hundreds of millions of dollars. That is just a pleasure to work with. With that, I'm going to go to Jeff Robinson. Who are you? And yours 2 minutes starts now.
Hey, before I get started, I just want to applaud Taimour. Tim, not one person on this call has the same skill set or strengths.
Yes,
and what Taimour has done a brilliant job of doing is assembling a group of that, number one, get along. That's the most important. And two, they're not stepping on each other's toes because they're all have different skill sets. My special abilities, I believe my number one ability is scratching, clawing, and scrappiness, and getting transactions closed and raising money for projects in a reasonable amount of time. I've been involved in many startups in my career. I have all my licenses and securities, insurance, real estate. Love what I do. To me, this is like playing sports every day. I'm a huge hockey fan, living here in Minnesota as well as football. So I am having as much fun during the week as I do on the weekends watching sports and chasing my 5 and 2-year-old around in Little League, shagging balls.
Very good.
If I can just add, Tim, I'm just going to add some commentary about Jeff. He's a registered broker. He's got the license to raise money and so on. Provide registered loans, like all the licenses on the planet that a guy like me would need. Jeff brings that to the table. The one thing about this particular group is not only do we know each other, we trust each other. That's the other really important part. Everybody here trusts everybody else. We're not newbies to each other. The skill set and capability is awesome. Now, I want to ask Jeff a question. Jeff, I don't want you to mention obviously confidential client names, but today you're working on 2 files getting into the door. Can you just give a dollar? How much is the dollar for the amount of money that's coming into the door just today on the 2 files you're working on?
We have one file is $6.5 million, and that is for a government project sponsored by the GSA, and the other one has to do with a tech company, and that's another $6.5 million wire. So those should be done. I would be surprised if they're not done by this Friday. And Steve Rothschild, Steve will be excited. Finally got for him.
So Tim, I want to translate.
Woohoo!
Tim, I just want to translate this. Imagine if you buy a dead bank, just a dead bank. My team can bring in millions and millions in the door on it, what I call a dead bank. And then something for you to think about or come to your own conclusion, Tim, is financially what that means for all the shareholders, including you, Tim. If we buy a dead bank, what can the amount of capital deposits this bank can bring to the table?
I've appreciated those from the beginning, Taimour. You told me this right from the start.
Awesome, great. Rob, do you want to go next? And then I'm going to ask Ronak to go. And then after that, I'm going to stop the 2-minute conversation.
Absolutely. So again, my name's Rob. Again, Taimour, thank you. Jeff, everybody, Rothschild, Stephen. Again, this is the A players in banking and finance. My major specialty is working with William in regards to instruments, SBLCs, DLCs, monetization, and working with 2-3 direct desks that do monetization of these things on a non-recourse basis. I also do work with about 3 family offices. Taimour knows one of them. They have a huge book of business, over $6 billion globally. And these are the type of people that will specifically bring to this bank. They have lots of cash investors. They're flush with money. They've done well the last cycle. We want to bring these people enough cash. We want to bring in our instruments to this bank. We want to bring in people of gold. And we want to use leverage, the same leverage that, again, Taimour builds great models on. That's what my focus is. My background, I've done insurance with Transamerica, private equity, distressed real estate acquisitions in the last cycle. And obviously, as you all seen, Blackstone seems to be buying up single family homes again. So my priority is bringing in lots of cash, 8 figures every quarter, bringing in 3 family office groups that have lots of clients that want to have another bank account in a great jurisdiction that's investor friendly, borrower friendly, and with Taimour's proven processes. And this team of bankers, financiers, and guys, because this will help speed things up, but also give us the cutting edge in banking. So that's my background.
Awesome.
Terrific.
Ronak and then JR.
Sure. Pleasure to meet everyone here. And thank you for Taimour for getting everyone together. So a quick background about us. It's a family-based business that my parents actually started here in New York over 45 years ago. I've been doing this financial services trade now for about 22 years. I am personally involved with the New York Private Equity Network, the Private Equity CFO Association, India Diaspora. I'm a board of director of the Indus Entrepreneurs here in New York, a Silicon Valley not-for-profit organization for setting up startups and doing VC around the world. We work with a lot of individuals in West Africa, also in MENA-based countries, and in India. I would say right now in the pipeline, we have about, I would say, close to $1 billion worth of transactions. And these are transactions that hopefully we can try to bring over into the new bank itself. So it's definitely something of a lot of interest and growth aspect. As I said, I'm second generation into this. So it is, my parents had actually built everything up, and their contacts with the different ministers out in India and also in West Africa that we are also working with very closely. And we're hoping to bring different forms of deposits into the bank itself.
Excellent. Good.
Jonathan Ritchie, who are you?
Jonathan Ricci, my background is law. I spent my entire career in the international taxation arena, moving monies across borders and understanding the very basic principles of taxation. I'm fluent in the foreign language that I call tax code and regulations. And understanding that has allowed me to, and I'm a very creative person to begin with, so I can plan structures out in ways that just make sense. I like to paper everything that I do. I do not give, hide and hope advice, as I call it. Hide monies and hope that nobody asks any questions about it in the coming years. I do not participate in that. I paper everything, and I like to take tax positions and papering and supporting it. And I have high net worth individuals from all over the world, and I would love to have them and sort of direct them and their deposits into a bank that I'm familiar with the ownership structure and the great team surrounding it. So that's what I can bring to the table.
Frequently asked questions we get. Question number one we get is, well, why choose linacred.ai? Linacred.ai is a private equity firm. When it comes to purchasing instruments, as an example, if the fresh cut SBLC is, let's say, $50 million, we're able to get it at $48 million. So we're able to get a little bit cheaper. If it is monetizing instrument, often, not always, or I should say sometimes maybe, we're able to get a far higher LTV than the client can get by themselves. When it comes to getting a line of credit and loan, we provide a specific service. We buy courtesy deposits from a bank so that that bank will give the client far more capital than the bank would do it without the courtesy deposits. And the client gets far more capital using our programs compared to any alternative programs that they could have access to. When it comes to non-recourse loans, I consistently were able to provide far more money than brokers or other alternative offers services can offer. So I can go into every single service. We offer 3 services, and every one of them, I believe, we have an unfair competitive advantage in marketplace, and that's one of the reasons why consistently I see us getting a lot of market share from that. This I thought was a very fascinating question, and the question is, some of your competitors have bad reputations online. Why is it that you guys don't? I love that question. I don't get that every day. And there's a politically correct answer, and then there's a truthful answer. The political correct answer is the reason, as of the date of this video, the reason we don't have any bad reputation online, or the reason people are not suing us. I like to think it's because we operate in a high level of integrity. All my associates have a very high level of integrity, transparency. We have deep technical expertise. We know what we're doing. We know a lot of what's called matters of the law and so on. And I think that's the politically correct question or answer to that. But I want to talk about the truthful answer. The truth is, every large institution, and I don't care which one. Whether it's you want to buy a car, you want to buy, whether it's Google, Facebook, every large institution that you do business with today, if you look in their P&L, you will see that they have lawsuits as part of their business. It's just part of every organization. At some point, when you grow fast enough, you have to have people complain about you. You have to have litigations against you. If you don't have litigations, please don't hear this the wrong way, but I feel it's a lack of the CEO having a big vision. The fact is, this is just a fact. Pick any of the largest companies that you work with, you buy something from today, large Fortune 500 companies, and look in their P&L, and you will see lawsuits against that company that either they're like people are suing them for missed promises and so on. AtlantaCredit.ai, as of the shooting of this video, knock on wood, we don't have anybody litigating against us. I'm not planning on having people litigate against us. I'm not hoping people will litigate us, but I expect as part of our business growth strategy, we'll get to a point where we have to have people. It's just not normal. It's just not normal for people not to complain or be disappointed, be emotional, and do something about it. Money is, end of the day, it's a very emotional business. An a line of credit or loan, it might be because we told the client, yes, we can get you the loan. By the time they gave us the paperwork, they were way overpriced on square meters, or something was faulty, or something was inauthentic. In an instrument, maybe they gave us an instrument with a line where the capital from the instrument was already clear before we got it. In a private placement program, as an example, it could be faulty proof of funds that they would have. And so people get very emotional and upset when they're about to do a transaction and it goes wrong the other way. And once again, I'm not looking forward to litigations, but I really, truly, this is the truthful answer. I find that at some point in your organization, you must have people litigate against you or say bad things about you, however they do that, like that. And I expect that to happen as part of a factors, as part of a fast-growing business. The advice I have for you, whether you want to work with us or competitors that have bad reputation, is you always want to talk to the principal. You want to get a gut check feeling. Is this person authentic? Do they operate a high level of integrity? Like that, and that's my recommendation to anybody. The next one is we claim that we get paid for results. That's true on our website, and most of our services don't have any upfront fees. That's correct. When do you get paid an upfront fee, and when do you not? In my business, I get a lot of what I call junk leads. That's just what I get, lots of junk leads. So in order to eliminate the junk lead, I ask for people to hire us on a coaching basis, on a consulting basis for 1 hour. And the fee is, I think, $197. So whatever the fee is, I don't know. But there's a fee we charge people up front. We do that so that it's really designed to eliminate the junk leads. It's designed to kill the people that or authentically don't want to work with us. It's designed for people that are shopping around to have a reason not to call us. It's really designed that way. That way, out of 75 to 300 inquiries that we get per day, or whatever we get per day, it kills most of them because they're not interested in working with us. So I would say that's an upfront fee, but my sales funnel is I want people to hire us on an hourly basis to begin with. This really makes sure that now they're on the hook, that if they want us to monetize the instrument, or if they want us to help them get a business loan or help them private placement program, this really helps eliminate the junk leads people, for sure. If I have to find a bank as a service, or I have to find an investment group as a service, or if I have to find an organization that does something for a specific service, then we do like to get paid about $37,000. That money goes into a law firm. We don't get paid for it, but upon us delivering a service of, hey, we find you the investor, or we find you the bank, or we find you the organization that do whatever it is you want us to do, then I want the law firm to release our money. So we still get paid on performance, but the reason I ask for an upfront fee for that is, once again, really the intention is to kill any junk leads out there. There's in my career where I am right now, the only thing I cannot buy, like really the only thing I cannot buy, is time. So I put a lot of these little things, fees in there, so that it kills the junk lead. Really, that's what I'm doing. But our real fees, just like any other private equity firm, is on performance. It's only when we deliver the loan, the line of credit. It's only when we monetize the banking instrument. It's only when the client successfully gets into a private placement program is when we start to see results that we've never seen before. That's where our fees truly are. I put these small little fees in the sales funnel side of it just to make sure I kill out anything that is not authentically real. And that's just how we do it in our business. Another question I get is that, are there any new vehicles for project financing? And the answer is yes. We do have a service where if you have a cryptocurrency, you have real estate, you have good credit, you have whatever it is you have some kind of an asset. I call it a non-cash producing asset. So it really could be you may have a really good credit as example, or you may have art as example. There are lots of ways to monetize it and get you cash. And so typically what I like to find out from the client is how much cash are you bringing to the table. That's part one. Remember, I want to eliminate working with joker brokers. So I always ask the client or the broker, how much cash are you bringing to the table? There always has to be cash at the table for sure. And then what's the asset you're bringing in? And then how much you want to get for that asset. And then based on that, we structure a transaction. And then once again, our real money comes in at the back end when the client starts to getting paid. But I'll talk about luxury art as just an example. So let's say you own luxury art. There must be some kind of authentic, real document that says you own that art. Let's say it's Picasso and it's worth $10 million. Awesome. What I love to do is to take the document, the third-party keyword, third-party document that shows the value of the Picasso for 10 million. I can go get a lender who will loan money against it. Let's say if there's 10 million, they'll provide $5 million. Awesome. I'd like to then leverage that $5 million in various different financial institutions, and then put that $5 million that's being leveraged to, let's say, 10, 15 million in an investment vehicle. And that investment vehicle could produce maybe $100 million. And I want to share a portion of that with the client who's got a piece of art that's sitting in their wall, collecting dust, not producing any money for them. So that's a new vehicle for financing or getting access to financing for sure. Another frequently asked question is, I guess, why are companies hiring you or your team members as consultants? I feel that we have a lot of technical expertise. A lot of what we do is very technical specific. And that skill set is not readily available in the marketplace. Your finance professor necessarily wouldn't know how to monetize a banking instrument as an example, or wouldn't know how to use different different layers of credit to perform a specific function. They may not know what mirroring of funds is all about. They wouldn't know. There's just so many technical things that we've had the access to, and we've worked on over the years with clients, that oftentimes companies will hire us for 6 months basis, 3 months basis, and they'll say, Taimour, my goal is to sell my company at a 10 times multiples. What can you do for me? Looking at their assets, we can say, well, how about we lease the same amount of credit for you and get you a $100 million asset. It will do this on an accounting principle, and then we can do this, and then this will help you position your company for sale. So it's lots of value in somebody hiring me or any of our associates. I like to say they get 20%, a minimum 20% return on investment or 150% return on investment. I like to make big claims on that. But at this point, I'm not open to sharing any of that information in a public domain. All I can tell you is that if you hire a subject matter expert and have a specific end outcome, that expert can really help create an exponential growth for you, your business, and your finances. The next question is, if I had to restart my career, what would I do differently, why, and with who? Before line of credit.ai, I used to invest in a lot in real estate. And then before that, I used to be a consultant, a marketing consultant. So let me talk about marketing consultant. So if I did a marketing project for Microsoft, SAP, IBM, Siemens, some of the big brands were my clients. Let's say I would invoice them $100,000. Now I get $100,000. I pay tax on that $100,000, and then that money goes into my savings account, and I use it for my lifestyle expenses. Awesome. So that's my role before. My role now is if I had $100,000, I would put in let's say a central bank in Cayman Islands, get a bank that I may have shares in to create a credit facility out of it. So $100,000 will create a credit facility of $1 million. I will use that $1 million in two different private placement programs that I know and I trust. One, the entry point is $500,000. The other one, the entry point is actually a lot more. But I would then put that money into that private placement program, and I would do the $500,000 one does $11 million. And so now I make $11 million in 95 banking days. So compare the Taimour goes market yourself as a consultant, get a client, and then deliver the project in, let's say, 3 months, 9 months, whatever that project is. Awesome. But what if, and then I make $100,000. Awesome. Now, if I could take that $100,000, instead of rinse and repeating my consulting job, what I would do is take that $100,000, create a credit facility on it, put it in a private placement program, and now I have a lot of money. Now I can buy a Microsoft competitor as an example, should I choose to do so. I can do so much more. A lot of people on the planet that I know are very good people that have genuine intentions in their heart, and they want to make a difference on the planet. But I believe no matter what you want to do in the world, you need money. It's just, I really believe whatever you want to do in the world, you need money. And so if you could get that money solved, you can do so many things that not having money would make it a lot more difficult. So that's what I would do if I had to restart my career. So that's it in a nutshell. Those are my frequently asked questions. My name is Taimour Zaman from NineCredit.ai. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I look forward to the opportunity of working with you. Please feel free to start engaging us through our coaching, consulting hour, and allow us to help you on some of the things that you're looking for on monetizing instruments, lines of credit, private placement programs, areas that you may need some help in. Thank you.